The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. It is 5 a.m. on this Monday morning. I'm Alex Fisher along with Nicole Gitsky. Maddie has the day off, and we're talking about your forecast. Beautiful weekend.
Oh my gosh, it was absolutely gorgeous out there. So will it stick around, I guess,
is the big question. Yeah. All right, let's turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Alyssa Carlson in this morning for Kevin Charette. And boy, were we spoiled with this nice weather. Alyssa?
Oh, we definitely were. And good morning to both of you. Temperatures this weekend only near 80 degrees. So we were actually a few degrees below average, but we're going to go back up today. Don't worry, not quite into the 90s just yet. I think you're still going to like it. Meanwhile, this morning, waking up to lower 60s here around the valley, and temperatures are a little cool, so it's pretty nice outside, really. Kind of comfortable. Really chilly, though, in the mountain areas. Only 48 in Tehachapi, 52 in Fraser Park, and it is 52 degrees over in Lake Isabella. We're at 64 in Bakersfield, and 63 is our average overnight low. Average high on this day is 84, and we'll be right up there again today. Looking here for temperatures a little bit warmer, a few clouds passing on through, and we'll start to watch as the ridge will build in over the next couple of days. That will result in a warming trend, but don't get too scared about that just yet. Looking at 64 at 7 a.m. By 11 a.m., 74 degrees. This afternoon, sunny, 84 in the valley and in the mountains, starting out in the low to upper 50s, 70 at 3 o'clock. I have much more in the work week ahead in Pinpoint Weather.
All right, Alyssa, thanks so much. 5:02 is your time now, and new overnight, Israel pounded Gaza with a new round of heavy airstrikes. The intense air attacks follow the deadliest day yet in the escalating violence between Israel and Palestinians. More than 40 Palestinians were killed just yesterday. NBC's Richard Engel reports from Tel Aviv.
Israeli airstrikes flattened 3 apartment buildings in Gaza City. There aren't rescue crews to speak of in Gaza. So when the poorly equipped teams arrived, they had to dig for survivors however they could. They pulled dozens out still alive, trapped in the rubble for hours. But they found more than 40 dead, including, health officials say, 24 women and children. According to Muslim tradition, they were buried almost immediately. This funeral for 17 members of a single family. Nadine Abdul-Latif is just 10 years old.
There's a lot of people who died here, not only here, out there, more places in Gaza and Palestine died. Kids are dying. Mothers cry for their kids who died. Kids can cry every time because their parents died.
Israel said it was attacking Hamas military infrastructure beneath the road near the buildings, which caused them to collapse and led to unintended casualties. Israel says it's destroying Hamas intelligence, tunnels, and targeting the group's leaders. But the rockets, more than 3,000 this week, are still flying. Hamas said these were revenge for the death of women and children. In Ashdod, south of Tel Aviv, Doreen McKaylee, a student, showed me her apartment, hit by a rocket that slipped through Israel's missile defense system.
Looks like a normal room, but it has this heavy metal door.
Air raid sirens gave her 40 seconds to run to a reinforced room in her home, a requirement in Israeli buildings.
I sat in the shelter and I was like, please, 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 nobody gets hurt.
And it's not just rockets. Israeli police said a Palestinian rammed into a checkpoint in Jerusalem, moderately injuring 4 policemen. The attacker was shot dead.
In Israel, many support the military campaign against Gaza as self-defense. In Gaza, many support the rocket attacks for the same reason, a cycle of violence that risks further escalation. Richard Engel, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
We're learning more details about a deadly house fire that took the lives of 2 people last week in central Bakersfield. Relatives say 58-year-old Rosemary and 10-year-old grandson Nathan died in the fire Thursday afternoon. When firefighters entered the home, they found the 2 together in the bedroom.
We were all here when suddenly we heard this sound, like an explosion, like gas, and we noticed all the flames, a lot of flames. The firefighters got here quickly. But even so, they were not able to do much.
Community members held a vigil Friday night to mourn the loss of Rosemary and Nathan Mita. Family members say they will remember Nathan for his bravery, and they say he never would have left his grandmother's side, even if she told him to. Relatives say Rosemary was a social butterfly and a warrior, relentlessly holding the family together. If you know anything about this fire, contact Bakersfield Fire using the number on your screen, 391-7101.
The head of the CDC is explaining why the agency says it is okay for people who have been vaccinated to stop wearing masks. Tracy Potts has that story, plus which stores are telling customers it's okay to shop without a face covering.
Alex, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yes, there's some big name stores that are telling their vaccinated customers don't worry about wearing a mask. It's the CDC's guidance, and the agency's director tells NBC there was no political pressure here, that their decision was based on changing science.
There's no need for everybody to start ripping off their masks.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky explains why the agency now says it's okay for people who've been vaccinated to take off their masks outside and inside.
Deaths at rates that we haven't seen this low since April of 2020. And now we have science that has really evolved.
The government says this advice is for individuals, that companies serving vaccinated and unvaccinated customers should assess their risk.
There may be organizations who feel they don't want to remove the mask mandate, and I think that's actually a perfectly reasonable conclusion to come to.
I've been walking just down the sidewalk with no mask, and it feels great.
Not everyone's comfortable going maskless.
We still need to be a little bit cautious.
The CDC guidance has caused some confusion. 20 states still require masks.
Why aren't you letting me in?
Because in the state of California and the county of Los Angeles, there has been and Costco, there's been no change to our mask policy.
Starbucks, Walmart, Costco, and Trader Joe's are all dropping their mandates. Hello. It's optional in outdoor common areas at the Walt Disney Resort. But with half the country still not vaccinated, for people trying to protect themselves, there's a concern that now, when you see someone not wearing a mask, there's really nowhere to tell if they've actually had the shot. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
And just in this morning, schools should continue to use face masks for at least the remainder of the school year, according to officials. That's what the CDC just updated moments ago. The agency says all schools should implement and layer prevention strategies and should prioritize universal and correct use of masks and physical distancing. Also, even though kids ages 12 to 15 are now able to get vaccinated, the agency says they will not be fully vaccinated before the end of the current year. Now to the latest numbers here at home. Public Health reported 26 new cases of coronavirus yesterday. No new deaths were reported. The state reports 32 people are in the hospital with more severe symptoms of COVID-19. 6 people are in the ICU. The mass vaccination site at the Cal State University Bakersfield facility is officially closed as of Friday. The site is transitioning to mobile clinics, and organizers say those clinics will allow the vaccines to reach communities that need them most. If you would like to get vaccinated this week, you can visit the mobile site at Ridgeview High School, happening Wednesday from 1 to 5 p.m. Walk-ins are welcome, and anyone 12 and older is eligible. We have a list of all upcoming mobile clinics and more information on our website, kget.com. And a reminder for the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines, the age is 18 and older, but for the Pfizer vaccine, anyone 12 and older is eligible. And you can find your nearest vaccine clinic and sign up for an appointment by going to the state's website, myturn.ca.gov. You can also call 833-422-4255.
Well, a local church invited the community to help honor those who died during the pandemic over the weekend. The Rising Star Baptist Church held the event at their church on Wilson Road in Southwest Bakersfield. Ministers say it's time to celebrate the lives of loved ones in a communal setting now that it's safe to gather in person.
Memorializing them in our church service, their family members get a chance to come up with all of these people that are in there and share some love, different things about their loved one. The community will know about them.
To date, Kern County has lost 1,376 lives to COVID-19. Well, happening today, it's the deadline for filing your 2020 taxes. The original filing and payment due date was on April 15th, but the IRS pushed the deadline to May 17th. The move gives individual filers, tax preparers, and the IRS itself more time to sort through the many changes affecting one's 2020 taxes from the latest COVID relief package. Unless you choose to file an extension, you must file and pay any remaining federal and state taxes you owe for 2020 by midnight. And Friday is National Endangered Species Day, a time for us to learn about and take action to protect threatened and endangered species. Kern County is home to some beautiful wildlife, but unfortunately a few species are at risk of extinction. The California desert tortoise, the San Joaquin kit fox, California condor, and the Bakersfield cactus are some of the animals and plants on display at the California Living Museum in Bakersfield. Museum staff say the California condors face especially high risk of extinction.
This is probably the most endangered species at CALM. It is the California condor. They're magnificent birds, but their numbers are so low. In the 70s, we almost lost them.
Back in 1994, the city of Bakersfield entered into an agreement with the state and federal wildlife agencies to protect so-called special status species in Bakersfield. The Habitat Conservation Plan lays out urban development guidelines to protect natural resources while allowing appropriate urban growth and development.
It was determined to protect 4 species, namely San Joaquin kit fox, San Joaquin antelope ground squirrel, Tipton kangaroo rat, and 1 plant species, Bakersfield cactus.
Fain says there are numerous ways to get involved locally and help protect these locally endangered species. For more information, you can visit their website at calmzoo.org.
Clinica Sierra Vista is now offering rapid COVID-19 testing and COVID-19 vaccinations. Call 833-278-4584 to make your appointment. But don't delay. Clinica Sierra Vista, putting patients first.
Welcome back. Your time now is 5:21 and making headlines around the nation. Joel Greenberg, an associate of Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, will appear in federal court today. The former Seminole County tax collector is expected to plead guilty to federal charges as part of a plea deal in exchange for his cooperation of an ongoing federal investigation. According to court documents, Greenberg admits to several criminal offenses, including sex trafficking, fraud, and bribery. The plea deal means that Greenberg will have to register as a sex offender. Cleanup continues in Minnesota this morning after a train derailed over the weekend. The Union Pacific train went off the tracks on Saturday, leaving 28 train cars overturned. 2 of the cars leaked hydrochloric acid, according to officials. Those officials say crews began removing the derailed cars Saturday night, and by yesterday afternoon, 14 of them were cleared. Crews are continuing to monitor the area's air and waterways following the train incident. There were no injuries to report in the derailment, and it is unclear what led up to the crash.
Meantime, 2 volleyball coaches say they were kicked out of the California Convention Center for bringing their infants to the facility. Tournament officials said no spectators under the age of 16 were allowed at the event because of COVID restrictions. That included the 2 nursing babies. Dexie Lovelace says she drove 8 hours from Utah to join her volleyball team for the USA Volleyball Junior National Qualifier Tournament. She had to remain outside with her 4-month-old daughter instead. Another coach said the same thing happened to her the weekend before when she tried to bring her nursing 2-month-old.
We are now being discriminated against, that we don't get to do something that everyone else can do just because we're nursing a baby.
It was no human decency, and it made me feel like a criminal because I was just trying to be a mother.
The mayor's office says it has no reason to believe any city ordinance or law has been violated.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
In your 17 Business Watch, Patagonia, Honda, Moderna, Chick-fil-A, and SpaceX have the top 5 best reputations among consumers. That's according to this year's Axios Harris Poll 100, which ranks companies that consumers seem to like the most. Now, Chewy, Pfizer, Tesla, Costco, and Amazon rounded out the top 10. The Axios Harris Poll 100 has ranked reputation since 1999. The survey measures corporate visibility and examines things like trust and culture, as well as the products and services that the company provides.
Known for its historical monuments and museums, Greece is one of the most visited countries on Earth. Pandemic lockdowns have caused the Greek economy to struggle, as you can imagine, but now the visitors are returning, bringing hopes for the revival of its tourism industry. NBC's Sarah Harmon reports from Santorini.
Greece is open for tourism, and travel-starved Americans are starting to come back.
It feels amazing to finally travel again.
We both love mountains and wine.
Vaccinated Americans or those with a negative PCR test are now free to roam the ancient Acropolis. No quarantine required. Most of Europe is still off limits to Americans, but here in Greece, tourism is about a quarter of GDP, and they can't afford to wait any longer. Why now? Why is this the moment to reopen?
Because we feel that we're ready. Athens is ready. Greece is ready.
Still, only 13% of Greeks are fully vaccinated, so hundreds of Greek islands are now racing to vaccinate every adult by June. Santorini is perhaps the most beautiful of all the Greek islands. Stunning views like these drew millions of visitors each year before the pandemic. Many can't wait to have them back.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.